Hi everyone. So my name's Hollie Bennett. I'm currently looking after a YouTube channel called PlayStation Access. I've been in the games industry about 7 years, but I'm on the dark side. I'm on the publishing side. So the ladies you've seen this morning, they make the games. They then take the games to me, and we then help those games sell. This can be PR, it can be community, it can be social, it can just be marketing itself. Imagine making a fantastic game and then nobody ever buys it because nobody's ever heard of it. We work together, and marketing is so important. I think it really does just get left to one side, but without us, great games don't come to the surface. And sometimes as well, maybe we can make games that shouldn't come to the surface sell as well. But that's good marketing. So where am I? This is me. My mum gave me like a Mushroom Kingdom haircut when I was in primary school, and I've kind of never got over it. I grew up playing video games. I've played video games my whole life. Didn't have brothers. I've only got a younger sister who talks about makeup the way I talk about video games. So we are nothing alike. So I was a bit of the odd child, really. My aunt married a footballer, as you do. They got divorced, and in the divorce, I got all the old consoles. And that's really how I got into it. I was lucky enough to have a Mega Drive as a kid. Everyone remembers Lion King, Aladdin, real classics. But it wasn't until I got his N64 and his PlayStation 1 that was the game changer. You know, I stopped becoming the kid that was lucky enough to have video games to someone who was genuinely passionate. It was Final Fantasy VIII and Ocarina of Time. I literally played them simultaneously, because I was a bit late to both platforms. They're the two games that got me into gaming. And even now, I have the Balam Garden theme as my alarm every morning, goosebumps. I hate it now, but that music, even now, I carry it with me. I'm a gamer through and through. However, and a lot of you, especially the parents in the room, might get this, when you're 15 and you're sat down with the careers advisor and they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? You're clueless. I went to a high school in South Wales. We had 700 pupils between years 7 to 13. So there's not really any flexibility there. When you sit down and you say, I like video games, they're like, well, cool, can you draw? Well, not really. They're like, right, we should probably think of something else. They just didn't get it. Video games was not a viable career. So while it was a hobby, I parked any kind of idea of working in the industry. No one at any point mentioned the idea of marketing in games or PR in games, because PR and marketing have always existed. As long as there's products to sell, in and out of gaming, those roles exist. But no one put the two and two together for me. So I did the sensible option, and I became a registered midwife. I went to Bournemouth University, did 4 years at Bournemouth. I've delivered 148 babies. In fact, these are all some of the thank you cards. I delivered all these babies here. I have 3 named after me, which is very nice, mainly because I've always had bright red hair, and they always sort of want that middle one. Can I have the one with the hair? I always used to wear like bright pink high tops. Oh, I like that. That one looks like she'd be good. They call us candles and sandals. You know, we all hold hands and sing. In fact, I worked at Chelsea, Westminster, where everyone had an epidural. So it was an eye-opener. And it certainly taught you a lot about handling pressure. Because you're in job interviews and they're like, so how are you with stress? And you're like, stress? Stress is a night shift with you and one newly qualified midwife. I've got a full bed. And you know what? Someone antenatal is delivering and the alarms are going off. And hang on, she's bleeding. And you're just like, stress is fine. Don't worry, I'll handle crunch. Christmas is a doddle. So I did midwifery, and I did enjoy it. I never left it because I didn't enjoy it. Video games were just my passion. Delivering babies' vaginas was not my passion. It's some people's passions, but I was sat there, on my night shift. It is the shift from hell. Please don't get rid of the NHS. And you do something. I don't want to do this for 40 years. Like, you could see the matrons walking past, and like, that's not me. I love my job, but I don't want to do this forever. So while I was a midwife, I did struggle at university. I am also really dyslexic. It's a really practical course. So while all my student friends were like doing 10 hours of lectures a week and just getting drunk, midwifery is 37.5 hours a week, either in the classroom or on the wards. If you don't turn up to lectures, they're calling you. It's really serious. You're in the lecture room 9 till 5, or you're on the wards. End of story. 8 weeks off a year. Not 8 weeks for summer, 8 weeks off a year. It's a really hardcore course. I had no friends. I was the youngest on my course by about 10 years. So, everyone else is going out and getting drunk, and I'm just lost. I never really had friends in high school who played video games, again, because it's a small school. So when I got to university, I was starting to meet different people, online communities. I was going to anime conventions because I was really cool. I was into cosplay. And I found one particular website, a gaming website, called Destructoid. And this was the first time I had ever made friends like me, people who were gamers. And finally, I had people I could talk to video games about. And I was doing so much, like chatting to them and getting to know them, that one day I said, hey, I would really like to do a meetup. Get everybody from the UK together. So I arranged this meet, booked the hostels and booked some activities for us all. Really, really enjoyed it. And it was super, super fun. And then that sort of carried on going. And then eventually I said, you're doing like loads of stuff with the UK community. We should just make you the UK community manager. And it's a hollow title. It's not paid. It's not a real job. It was just a title they gave me for the website. Which, fine, great. That's what I loved doing in my spare time. This was all on top of being a full-time midwife. Did it for a few years, and then one I was like, you guys don't cover Gamescom. They're like, well, no, we're an American site. And I'm like, yeah, but Gamescom's huge. Let me cover it for you. So I got a couple of friends, and we hired some video equipment from somewhere in Germany. To save money, we drove from Luxembourg, which was stupid. Don't go to Gamescom by driving from Luxembourg. And we covered it. We made 30-odd videos in the couple of days we were there. And we had a great time. And it was the first time I had really learned about running a coverage team. Then started a podcast, and it just kept going. And eventually said, just call yourself the European Community Manager and just, do what you're doing. Carry on, have fun. I thought, all right, I will. This is great. I've got my full-time job as a midwife, which is a career. It's got prospects. The money really wasn't bad. I was living in London. And then I had it. I had my hobby on the side. I could indulge this passion as long as my 4 12-hour shifts were completed a week. But I could indulge the video game passion. It was wonderful. At the time, I was dating a community manager for Real-Time Worlds. And I remember All Points Bulletin? Yeah, it holds the record for being the shortest online MMO ever because the servers were turned off after 72 days. But he was saying, it's 2 a.m. and you're still working on Destructoid stuff. He's like, why don't you just do this as a job? This is silly. You can do it. I was like, no, we don't really get jobs doing what I do. He's like, no, this is, you actually have all the skills now. Come on, maybe it's time to leave midwifery and actually, get the job in the games industry you've always wanted. So I went to a Bandai Namco event, because you go to events, you play the games, and then you make coverage about them. That's what bloggers do. And I maybe had a couple of free wines, and I gave my business card to the European vice president of it was Namco Bandai back then. It's now Bandai Namco to get it in line with Japan. And I gave him my business card, and I just said, look, I really want to do this for a living. If anything comes up, can you just call me? And he did. About a week later, I got a phone call that said, hey, do you want to meet for a coffee? And we're just going to have a chat. So we met, and it was like, what kind of things do you see yourself doing? And I was like, I'm really hands-on. I like people. It's really why I became a midwife. I like building things. I like building communities. I was very lonely as a gamer when I was younger, and I have absolutely loved bringing all of those lonely people together and building a community of them together. That's really what I enjoy. So we had a bit of a chat, and I woke up with a job offer in my inbox. Consumer and community PR executive for Bandai Namco Games. I came in at quite a high level, considering I had no real experience in what they were asking. Full-time, so not contract. And I remember going to my matron on the ward and just saying, I'm off. I've got a job in the games industry. And she said, we wondered when that would happen. So this was my first ever job. Now, where these lovely ladies will spend a very long period of time working on maybe 1 or 2 titles, I've probably already published about 100 games in the 5, 6, 7 years I've been in the industry. That's because we, as a publisher, have huge portfolios. I was at Bandai Namco for 2 years, and I covered everything from Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Soul Calibur 5, Dark Souls 1 and 2, both of those were me. I looked after The Witcher 2 and the start of The Witcher 3. I looked after Ridge Racer Unbounded, which is not the good one, I know. We looked after Naruto, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Ni no Kuni, the Tales series was my baby. Loads of kids' games, iCarly, Groovy Foodie, someone's got to publish it, that was us. I did PR and community. Now, PR has a real bad rep for being evil. It is not like that. So anything you probably read online, especially around any social movements, PR is an incredibly creative, incredibly fast-paced career. And if you like people and you like things that are constantly changing and you just want to dive in, PR is fantastic. So a PR, it used to mean, and me and other PRs argue over this, it used to mean public relations. I argue that thanks to social and community, it actually means press relations. Your job as PR is to be the mouthpiece for the company to the press. So anything you're doing as a company that you want to get the press involved with, it all comes via you. These are via press releases. Most of these are emailed out. Hey, here's the release date. Here's some new screenshots. We're announcing our DLC. Here's going to be the season pass information. Here's the new gear system that we're announcing. It's your job to give that information to the press. On top of that, PRs do events, and they work with events managers. If you're in a small publisher like we were, PRs did the events themselves. At PlayStation, we have an events manager that you work with. At Namco, we did it ourselves. So this can be anything from a simple event where you're just getting people together to try out the game, to me literally hosting the European Championships of Soul Calibur in a church we've rented somewhere in East London. And you have to think about everything. Any of you been to EGX, Eurogamer Expo? Yeah, a couple of you nodding. Every panel of artwork, you have to find someone to print that. Last week I had 3 days to print 500 lanyard for the PlayStation Access logo on it. You're just going through these contacts of things you need to get made and signed off. You can't just take a piece of artwork and have it printed. You have to get permission from your boss's bosses. Sometimes you've got to go to Japan. Hey, can I get this printed? This is how it'll look. This is the booth setup. No, you've chopped off the top of Naruto's spike. That's not within the guidelines. Go back to print. We've come into events on the event day and have had to rip down the walls and find same-day printing to rebuild our booth. And then on top of that, obviously, PR crisis manage. So it can be Christmas Day and something has gone wrong and you are expected to pick up the phone and to try and crisis manage. It's incredibly fast-paced. And if you really you love thinking on your feet and you love people and you want to take, someone goes, here's a budget, here's a game, now think of something creative that will get people's attention. Just think, that, just whatever you want. That is what PR does. Don't let it slip you past as an idea, especially if you're like me and I'm not artistic and the idea of coding was like learning another language and I didn't think I could do it. This is a really viable option for working in the games industry. On top of this, I did social media for them, or community management. For this, it was mainly around Tekken and around the Tales of series. So bringing those fans together and helping to create a voice for this game and allowing them to go off and tell other people and bring them in. That's what community does. You're building groups of people that are all brought together by one passion, giving them the love and attention they need, and then allowing them to go off and spread the news as well as you. It's very weird to see PR and community fused into one role. Very strange, because the way you do them is so different. But at Namco, I was able to fuse both because we were a much smaller publisher. Huge Japanese company, but we're a little bit smaller in the UK. I was there for 2 years, and a very, very talented product marketing lady called Lauren Bradley, who I met at Namco, left to go work at PlayStation. And about 3 months later, I got a phone call, this job's come up at PlayStation. I think you'd be perfect for it, you should go for it. And it was social media and community manager. This picture here, this is the OXO Tower in London. It's normally OXO. For the launch of PlayStation 4, they were like, think of some ideas. Generally, think of anything you want to do. Don't matter about budget, just come up with ideas. And someone said, well, it's only an O and an X. All we've got to do is add a square and a triangle, right? And we did. These are, I'm not kidding you, I can't even imagine how big they are, and they have to be custom made and then winched up to the top. People then rappel down and then fix them to the walls, and it's done on all three sides. But then we're all stood like on a pier by here, and they lit it up for the first time. Everyone started crying. This was literally like a week before PS4 launched. So you can imagine, like, as a kid that used to get out of bed early to play video games before I went to school. It's like Crash Team Racing. I used to play so much of that before school. I just helped launch the PlayStation 4. Bucket list stuff. Yeah, I launched the PlayStation 4. So there were 3 real roles at PlayStation. PlayStation Access, Twitter, and general community stuff. I'll take Access out of that for now because I was employed to look after it but not be on it. That has obviously changed, and that's the third position I've now just started, so I'll talk about that separately. Social media manager. Hands up who has got Twitter. Good. It's really important if you want to come into the idea of marketing especially, you need to understand the digital marketing area, which is mainly social. It's really important that you understand how to use social media. Since nobody else has mentioned it, I will say it now. Everything you say online will be there forever. I cannot hammer that home to you enough, and I know some of you are young enough that you're not yet in the industry and might want to be. Everything you say, how you carry yourself online, will come back and get you. Be careful. If you say something online and your company finds it, that will not protect you. You don't remove people just because, from what they've said, just because you've written views of my own, not my employer's. There's no legal standing. So, I know it's really serious, but when you're growing up with the internet, it can be easy to put things online and opinions. They're really, really serious, especially if you want to come and work in this field. And a lot of people do want to be community managers. A lot of people want to be YouTubers, Twitch streamers. We've just seen it now with JonTron. Things come back and get you. Please be careful. I can't get this through to you enough. If you apply to come and work with me at PlayStation in social, the first thing I want to see is your social accounts. Because they will tell me, you see, if you can even do it. Because they're the first representation of whether... These guys, you make art portfolios. For us, I want to see your social accounts. I want to see any fan groups you've grown or raised. I want to see all of this. And if you've got an attitude online, that could be, that could really take your opportunity away from you. So please be careful. Anyway, back to the fun bit. One thing you do with social, it's not just about having fun and posting dank memes on Twitter. That is a huge part of it. You've got to be in it. You've got to know what's going on. You've got to know what's cool, what's not cool, and you've got to know the jokes. That's part of it. But we do social media strategy. So I'll sit down and I'll see a game 12, 18 months before launch, before it's even been announced. And they'll be like, write the social media strategy, here's the budget. And we will map out all social media drops and spends across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube for the entire launch window and beyond of that game. So we know when assets are dropping and what we're going to be spending, who we're going to be targeting, how we're going to target them, and how we're going to change those messages. It's really in depth. So if you ever see a Facebook ad, I'm sure all of you have seen a Facebook ad, we put them there. We target people. We can target with incredible accuracy if we want to. Or if you probably learned from Facebook ad, some people use no accuracy and just throw money at the wall. We try not to throw money at the wall, and it's your job to really understand your audience and who you want to appeal to. For example, people turn off Facebook videos. We found there's a 75% drop-off after 3 seconds. So within 3 seconds, your video's got to hook people in. Less than 3% of people click to have sound on YouTube videos. On Facebook videos. Does your video work without sound? If it's a black screen for 5 seconds that relies on the sound building, your cost to put that in as an ad will go up because you're having to pay more to reach more people to get them to watch it because it's just not really been made for social. That is social media. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. It doesn't really sleep. I've watched some really good people make some mistakes because they've been tired when they shouldn't be checking social. but it is really exciting. This is the one parents fear. I'm a YouTuber now. Yes, I actually make a living on YouTube. When I was at PlayStation, there was something called PlayStation Access, which is a YouTube channel. It was my job to look after it. I was never hired to be a presenter, so everyone who's left comments just saying that I'm the token female, I was not actually hired to be a female presenter at all. I was hired because I have experience in social media, community, PR, and online marketing for video games. This is my passion. Sorry for swearing. But I was not hired to be a presenter on PlayStation Access. It just sort of figured out as a team. I worked well with the 3 guys, and we made a really good team of 4 people, and we really enjoyed working together. Access has grown a lot as a YouTube channel over the 3 years I was at PlayStation. Actually, it's grown a real lot. To the point where I couldn't no longer do my job at PlayStation. And the social media was suffering. I wasn't able to be in meetings because I was traveling so much. I wasn't able to pick up the work, and other people in my team were having to cover me, which really isn't how it should be. As of January, I left PlayStation. I'm now freelance doing PlayStation Access full-time. So I am a full-time YouTuber in that sense. Now, for YouTube, it's all about content creation, editing, presenting, being comfortable on camera and comfortable with the people you are. We explore lots of different types of games. We travel almost non-stop. I really mean that. And it sounds great on paper, but it can be really hard to have a life. I already have 3 more press trips booked in for May. That's before I even go to E3. I'm in America twice and Hamburg once. I did Chicago last month. I was in Chicago for 32 hours. The whole trip was 32 hours, including the 11 hours each way flying. I landed, had a shower at the airport, and then went back on a plane that afternoon to another press trip. It's really fun, but it's exhausting. And it's always about content creation. So you look at everything with a really how am I going to turn this into a list feature? I need 8 things. Everything needs 8 things on YouTube to be good. And this is what we do as a team of 4. We produce a minimum of 3 videos a week, but often it's a lot more than that. E3, for example, we'll make 45 videos in 4 days. We don't stop. Luckily, we're all best friends, so we don't really argue that much. But it's really intense. If anybody in here is seriously thinking about a career in YouTube or Twitch, please come and speak to me. It's more than I could ever go into here on this stage. It's a really new area. We don't really know how this is going to last. There's no real guarantee you'll ever make it either. I've seen really good people want to become YouTubers. They've quit their jobs. They've had enough funds to last for about a year, and they've not been able to make it, and they've had to go back to work. On the flip side, I've seen very talented people leave their jobs, try and become YouTubers, and have made it. And they're incredible. If any of you follow RX Gaming, he's one of them. He left his job at Xbox and just said, I'm going to try and become a YouTuber. And I'll give myself 2 years if I can do it. And he's now full-time. Probably one of the best out there right now. I think he's incredible. So if you would like to talk to me about YouTube as a career, I will do that off stage because it's going to take a while. But it can be viable. But nonetheless, the skills are really important. Video editing is an incredibly important skill if you would like to come into marketing or PR or social or community. Even if you're self-taught, that goes for Photoshop. So please do come and chat to me if you think they're important. That's it. That's a lot. I do very different from the other girls. I've done a lot of different roles as well. This is what I want to do. This industry is everything to me. These jobs are everything to me. They've given me life. I'm really, really happy, and I want to continue to build beautiful communities. Now, whether they're YouTube communities or game communities, that's where I flourish, building beautiful things that people like me can meet other people like themselves and enjoy something together. And if it can be for a game that I love, then that's the best job in the world. So there you go.
So we're just going to sort the chairs out for the panel. If anyone's got a question for Hollie.
It's not YouTube, because that's, again, we can't do that. No, I'm going to stand you awkwardly. Do a little Access video. Hey guys, it's Hollie here for PlayStation Access. I'm on stage with Simon. Simon, how's it going?
Good. We need to get the chairs out now.
got a presenting voice. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe because there's plenty more coming up from the world of PlayStation.